The latest Nintendo Direct was one of, if not the worst one I've ever seen, in my opinion. In terms of content, we only got a few new games. Most of it was just advertising third-party RPG games, stuff most of us probably won't play. And if you do play them, then power to you. I'm not trying to throw any shade against you. It's just that kind of stuff isn't my cup of tea. What I am talking about is we didn't get any real bombshell announcements. Sure, we got more gameplay footage for Pikmin 4 and Tears of the Kingdom, but both of those we already knew was coming. Most of the Direct was used to prop up DLC for existing titles. The DLC in question isn't really the problem. More content for an already awesome game is sweet. But there is a point, however, where it goes from more content for an already content-packed game to padding out an already bare-bones game. Pair that with the fact that Nintendo is now using DLC in virtually every single game that is released, be it free or not. And then of course DLC to pad out older games to keep them relevant, instead of actually diverting those resources into creating an actual new property. The perfect example of this is in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. Before the announcement, everyone thought that Nintendo was going to drop a new Mario Kart title, possibly even using this potential new release to usher in the newest console. But then that fateful day came and crushed those rumors. With the Mario Kart 8 DLC, it's difficult to know when and if we'll ever get Mario Kart 9. And now what Nintendo is doing with this DLC, in my opinion, is preparing Mario Kart 8 to be the quintessential Mario Kart title for days to come. I had a whole video breaking that down, so I'll drop the link right here. But so far, that seems to be the new norm for Nintendo. We are seeing series like Splatoon 3 getting DLC for the foreseeable future, and even smaller IPs like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Fire Emblem are now getting DLC. Again, I have no problem with this. Massive properties like Splatoon and Mario Kart make sense to include more content. But for these smaller properties, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't make a ton of sense. In the past, Nintendo used to give us massive, sprawling games with tons and tons of content. I mean, just take a look at Metroid Prime and compare it to something like Mario Strikers Battle League or Switch Sports. In those particular examples, they just took a 5 or 6 hour game, slapped a $60 US price tag on it, and promised DLC will be coming to fill in the missing content. Now, as far as I know, neither Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or Fire Emblem Engage are short games, so don't think I'm unnecessarily dogging on them. The point I'm trying to make is, Nintendo doesn't have an incentive to make new games when they can just release a game, then drag it along for years to come with additional DLC. This practice isn't anything new in the video game industry, but for the longest time, Nintendo has shielded themselves from this practice. And I suspect the reason for that was because of the man they had in the CEO seat, Satoru Iwata. He was a self-proclaimed gamer who just happened to be the CEO of the most prolific video game developer ever. His influence helped guide Nintendo to become the pinnacle of quality product during his tenure. Unfortunately, life is cruel and took him away from us. And with his departure, more corporatized CEOs followed, and ultimately, that bright allure of money couldn't be avoided. Nintendo is a large corporation after all. Financially speaking, why would a company want to invest time and resources into unproven ideas when they can just invest in more content for proven properties? The latter is far better for the company's bottom line, as it's a surefire way to recover those investments. The unfortunate fact is, most companies don't want to take risks on unproven potential, as they have no idea if it would return a profit. And companies are all about profits. They gotta please their investors somehow. Oh Jesus, this has devolved into a business lecture, hasn't it? And at the end of the day, that's who these companies really care about. They could give a damn less about you as a gamer. There is, however, several exceptions to this, one way or another. And their names are Mario and Zelda. These games, no matter what, will be guaranteed hits. And that's because they have loyalty and proven track records behind them. Because of this, Nintendo allows the developers the freedom to make the absolute best game they can possibly make, so long as it doesn't stray too far from the formula. And that's how we got such masterpieces like Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey. I'm just grateful they still see it this way, as it could be oh so easy for it to go the opposite direction. They could put zero effort into making an actually great product and just coast on the success of its predecessors, just like the Call of Duty series has. Luckily, this isn't the case for Nintendo. Yet. But where Nintendo has lost their way is investing in actual quality product. In the past, they put their all into each product they released to the public, whether it be their games or their hardware that supported them. When you bought Nintendo, you knew you were getting the utmost highest quality product. Somewhere along the way, though, this line of thinking was lost and replaced with a more corporate and investor-friendly model. And that means cranking out sequels and remakes, severely cutting back the quality of the hardware in favor of cheaper components, and stretching the legs of popular games by adding more DLC. This did seem to make Nintendo more consistent, but also noticeably cheaper in quality. And because of the decrease in risk-taking, we see a lot less new announcements, and a lot more DLC packs. And it's just tiresome. But here's the thing. Some of Nintendo's most adored IPs came from taking risks. Animal Crossing, for instance, was born on the then crazy idea of having a life simulator. Now look at it. It has become one of Nintendo's most precious IPs. And to think it was based partly on the game director's life when he had just moved out and was struggling to make new friends. And all of Nintendo's OGs were created because of a few renegades who just wanted to create some unique gaming experience. I mean, Super Mario Bros. Single-handedly revived the then failing home console market. And it's all because a few good people wanted to take risks. Now, I know it sounded like I'm highly antagonistic towards DLC, but in reality I'm not. It just becomes increasingly tiresome to see DLC announcement after DLC announcement in these directs. Call me old-fashioned, but I like to see new and fresh ideas presented that were made by developers who are passionate about the product they are putting out. And in today's market-driven world, that's a hard thing to find from AAA developers. And that is the reason why I've become so excited for what indie developers are putting out. The exciting and innovative approach that once made these powerhouse devs a lot of money is now being executed by a couple of guys or gals in their garage who are just passionate about the work they do. And this has resulted in several games that have become instant classics. If only these companies could see it this way. But honestly, guys, I want to hear what you guys have to think about this and this whole new idea that Nintendo has to just push out DLC. Hit me up in the comments below. Let me know what you think about it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.